All right.
Hi, good afternoon. So, my name is Tamia Evans, and I appreciate you meeting with me today. Before we get started, I would like to explain basically confidentiality and how it works because it's an important part of our work together. So, anything that you do tell me, if it does pose a harm to yourself or to someone else, I will have to mandate report, of course. There are a few exceptions required by law. So if you feel like you need to harm yourself or someone else, if I suspect abuse or neglect or of a child, elderly person, or a vulnerable adult, I have to obviously report that. And if any of these situations come up, I will discuss them with you whenever the situation arises. So, the basic goal is to create a safe and supportive and judgment free environment where you can speak openly and freely, of course, throughout the session about what's important to you. So, before we begin, do you have any questions about today's session?
No, I believe I understand it all.
Okay, great. So, thank you. So, first, what basically brought you in today?
I've been struggling in my relationship. My boyfriend and I have been together for like almost 3 years, and lately it feels like we're constantly arguing. Um,
Hmm.
I just feel like I'm like emotionally exhausted, and I just don't know what to do anymore.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that with me. It sounds like you've been basically carrying a lot of emotional stress and it's beginning to feel basically overwhelming. Am I hearing that correctly?
It really is. Things weren't always like this.
Hmm.
In the beginning, it's like everything was great. I mean, honeymoon phase, if you will. I know we're not married, but we communicated well. We spent time together, and I felt like secure in our relationship. But it just seems like over the last couple months, things have just changed. Um, he's been working longer hours. When we're together, he seems to be like distracted or like distant, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so that makes complete sense to me. So basically, you're saying that you noticed a significant change within y'all's relationship. What once felt close and supportive now feels like y'all are basically disconnected, and that's been kind of painful for you.
Exactly. And I mean, as terrible as I know as it sounds, and I don't know if it's dramatic or it just sometimes I just sometimes wonder if he just doesn't love me anymore.
So when those thoughts arise, what emotions do you notice in that moment? Like, do you feel sadness, anger?
Um, I would say, if I really am thinking about it, I would say mostly sadness, but
Mhm.
also a mix of anxiety. I think that I tend to overthink everything. Like
Mhm.
if he doesn't answer my text right away, I
Mhm.
immediately assume he's upset with me or doesn't want to be with me anymore. I don't know if I'm
Mhm.
overthinking that. I don't know.
Yeah. So it sounds like uncertainty creates a lot of basically doubt, anxiety for you. And then your mind starts filling in the gaps with, the worst scenarios that could possibly be. Is that correct?
Yeah, and then it's like when he finally responds, I already feel upset, so we end up arguing.
Mhm. Hmm. So can you walk me through basically what usually happens during one of y'all's arguments when y'all do argue?
Okay, sure. I of course I start by asking him, why did you ignore me? He
Hmm.
tells me he's working, but when I feel like he's making excuses, I get frustrated. I tend to raise my voice. And
Hmm.
then I feel like he kind of does what every guy does. He shuts down completely. Sometimes he'll even leave the room or stop responding to me altogether.
So the cycle usually begins with, feeling anxious and uncertain. Then you reach out for reassurance, through conversation, but then it becomes intense. And then both of you end up feeling like y'all are both unheard.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens.
Okay, so I appreciate your honesty, describing that experience for you, recognizing those patterns that isn't always easy, and your willingness to show and explore those insights.
I just don't want to keep repeating like the same, like, I feel like it's like a toxic cycle.
Hmm. Yeah. So, what concerns you the most if nothing changes?
I feel like if nothing changes, we're eventually gonna break up. I mean, like, I really love him,
Hmm.
but I don't want that, of course, but I feel like that's where we're headed.
So, and what gives you hope that things could possibly improve or change in the future?
Um, I feel like because we've been happy before, like, I know
Mhm.
we've been together for a few years, it's like I know we communicate well when we're both relaxed.
So, part of you believe this relationship is basically worth fighting for and working on because you already experienced the healthier and happier moments together. Does that sound right?
Yeah, I mean, it gives me hope, I feel like, because yeah, it was healthier, happier times for sure.
So, I'd like to take a moment to basically explore those healthier moments. Can you tell me about a recent time when the relationship felt even a little better to you?
Um, I mean, thinking about it, like considering, yeah, probably about 3 weeks ago, 2, 3 weeks ago, we went to dinner. We laughed a lot. We talked about our future, and we weren't arguing at all. So that felt really good.
And what did you think made that particular evening different in that moment?
I mean, if I could really think about it, I mean, like, we're out to dinner, we're talking, we're laughing, we're not distracted by work. We put our phones down. If I really could think about it, like neither one of us were looking at our phones.
Hmm.
I wasn't really upset before we started talking. Yeah, I would say
Hmm.
different. Yeah.
So those are very important observations that you just made. It sounds like when the two of you are present with each other and distractions are basically limited, like y'all putting your phone away, like you stated, communication feels much easier.
Yes, definitely. Now that I say that out loud, definitely.
Okay. So what I hear is that your relationship already has, those strengths and the communication you're hoping for isn't something you never had, it's something you experienced before, right?
Yeah, I mean, I really never thought about it like that.
Okay. So if you were to rate your relationship today from a scale of 1 through 10, where 1 means things couldn't get much worse, and 10 means the relationship is exactly where you like it to be, where would you place it on that scale?
Hmm. 1 to 10. I'd probably say a 5.
So what makes it a 5 instead of a 2? Because a 5 is like in the middle, so it's not too bad.
Okay. That's interesting. I would say because I mean we care about each other. We like to spend time together, and when we're not arguing, we actually enjoy being together. So somewhere in the middle, not so bad. Not the greatest, but not so bad.
Hmm. So those positives are basically keeping you hopeful despite the obstacles and challenges that y'all are facing, right?
Yes, that adds hope. Yes.
Okay, so I would like to pose a question. So, what would a 6 look like to you if you on that scale?
Hmm. Okay, a 6. Okay, so a little bit better. I would say we'd have 1 week without like a major argument.
Hmm.
We would actually listen to each other instead of like trying to prove who's right, who's wrong, who won the argument, yeah, that's what I would say to make it a 6.
Okay, and how important is reaching that goal to you on a scale from 1 to 10?
Definitely a 10. Definitely.
And how confident are you that you can take one small step towards making this happen for you and your significant other?
Hmm. I'd say maybe a 7.
Okay, so a 7 is encouraging. It makes your confidence that high. What makes your confidence that high to reach a 7 or a 7?
Um, because I know I can control how I react. I don't have to immediately become defensive. I know I tend to do it, but I know I have the control that I can refrain from it.
Okay. So that's a really important realization. You're recognizing the difference between what you can control and what you can't, right?
Yeah, that I like the way you put that, definitely.
Okay. So I like to ask you a question that may sound a little unusual. Imagine that tonight while you're asleep, a miracle happens and all the relationship problems are solved. Because you're asleep, you don't know the miracle happened, of course. When you wake up tomorrow morning, what would be the first thing, very thing that tells you your life is different?
Hmm. Wow. If I woke up and this is a miracle, I would say I would notice that like I didn't have that knot in my stomach that I tend to wake up with like after we have argued. I feel like I would be excited to talk to him instead of nervous. We'd probably eat breakfast together, laugh. I feel like he would actually want to spend time with me.
Yeah. So what would you be doing differently yourself?
Hmm. I feel like I would like stop assuming the worst.
Mhm.
I feel like maybe I'd ask him questions to stop instead of like accusing him of things.
Okay. So those are meaningful changes. It sounds like trust and calm communication are really important to you, Stacey. Does that sound right?
Yes, they definitely are. Yes.
Okay. So if you decided to take one small step this week towards creating that picture, what would that be?
Um, I feel like if I could ask him to spend like just one evening together without our phones and like just talk and not have distractions, I feel like that would be, yeah.
So that sounds like a realistic goal. What strengths do you have that would help you follow through with this? Make sure this happens.
I feel like I'm caring and patient. When I slow down, I really want our relationship to work.
Okay. So those are wonderful strengths to build on. So basically, we're about to wrap up for today. And before we finish, I would like to summarize, basically discuss this. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So you shared that your relationship has become increasingly stressful because communication has changed basically over the past several months. We explored the cycle that often leads to these, particular arguments, as well as identifying the anxiety and the assumptions that play a role in these interactions with you and your boyfriend. We also recognize the strengths within your relationship by discussing times when communication went well. And you also identify that your goal is not to change your boyfriend necessarily, but to focus on your own responses and create opportunities for calmer conversations. This week, you're planning to invite him to spend one uninterrupted evening together, without y'all's phones, and practice listening before reacting. How are you feeling today once we wrap up today's session?
I feel a whole lot lighter. Don't feel like I was falling apart. I realized that I can do differently.
Yeah. So I'm very glad to hear that. And I appreciate you opening and willing to reflect today. Change often starts with, of course, making the small steps, and you identify several that feel realistic and achievable. So I do look forward to checking in next week, the same place, same time, to hear how your conversation with your boyfriend and to basically continue building on the progress that you've already started. Does that sound good to you?
Yes, thank you so much. And I look forward to our next time together.
All right. Thank you, and you enjoy your evening.
You too.